ask me, why did you leave church? For a long time, I would say, I actually don't know why I left church. Or that church, I wouldn't say why I left that church. But on my way out, I found enough reasons for me to leave church. But this is the thing. When I was at my worst corner, when I felt completely and utterly hopeless, and I thought I was going to die, I genuinely thought I was going to die. I cried out to God, and things changed. Things changed, tangibly. Things changed, and that became the beginning of my path back. Okay. Just gotta make sure we are good. We gotta make sure we're good. We're going. Are we live? Oh yeah, we're live. What's up, chat? I'm back with another one. Today I want to talk about why I left church. I left church about 6 years ago. When I mean I left church, I mean I stopped going to organized church for a while. And that process led to a loss of faith. And I want to talk about that whole journey. Today I want to do a short stream. I want to see if I can fit everything in to 1 hour. I've already started showing you things I'm not supposed to show you. So I want to do this in 3 parts. I want to talk about the journey. Then I want to talk about Charlie Kirk, because everybody is talking about Charlie Kirk. And then I want to finish by doing a small demonstration. That's it, 1 hour. I'm going to try my best. So the first part of it is the journey. And it's very simple, what I want to do. As you can see, about 5 years ago, let's open this.
Gunya, what's up? Jackie.
I want to get the time stamp. Wow, August 19th, 2020. So I left the church that I used to go to at the time in January to March. It was a process. It was a period. 2019. So this would have been more than 1 year later. My bad. This would have been more than 1 year later. So what I want to do, this particular podcast that I was doing back then, I remember the first episode contains a story or stories of our journeys for the 3 of us who are hosting the podcasts. So I'm just going to listen back to my part of the journey. I actually haven't listened back to it in a long time. So this you'll be hearing it with me afresh. Then up until the point where it cuts off, because that was 5 years ago, I'm gonna pick up, and that is likely going to be the second part of how I discovered my faith. Then I'm going to talk about Charlie Kirk and my opinions on that, and then I'm just gonna finish with a simple demonstration. So I don't want to waste too much time today. I'm trying to do a 1 hour stream. I'm just gonna dive right into it.
Losing My Religion with Dan, Jackie, and Sunjata. Hello and welcome. This is Losing My Religion, the podcast with Daniel Rugunya. What's up? Jackie Wanjohi.
Hey.
And Sunjata Keita, the man himself. Anyway, jokes aside.
Why are we laughing? What's so funny?
We wanted wanted to have this podcast as a way of just reaching out and sharing our own stories, our own backgrounds about how we've experienced religion, spirituality, and our journey so far. So we wanted to start off this first episode answering those questions, sharing our own background so that you as the audience can have a clear picture of who we are, where we're coming from, and what this podcast will be about. Yes, so tunaweza anza na wewe Dan. I don't know if you are ready to share your background basically on how you your journey religiously or spiritually. We've been trying not to call it spiritually or religion because it could have some certain biases, but for you specifically, Dan, what has been your journey spiritually?
Well, I think those are two levels that you mentioned. In my perspective, I think there's a level of religion which is more, for me, I would say, is more platonic. It's you know, you remember in Swahili we used
surface level. I'm gonna help you. I'm gonna help myself from the past. Just say surface level and move on to the next point.
Maana ya juu na maana ya ndani. I feel like religion is more about the activities, the things we do, the rituals. It's about going to church or going to the mosque or waking up in the morning to pray. That I think the external manifestation of the activities that we do is religion. While I think faith is a much deeper level. It's more about what you believe.
I think it's interesting for me to listen back to that today because I am in a completely different place today than I was when I was doing that podcast, this podcast. But I do like the fact that I agree with that. I agree with the same sentiment that I had back then.
Why you believe it. For the people who believe in a personal relationship with God, that actual personal relationship with God amounts to faith. So I think those are like two different levels, faith and religion. Then the reason why we came up with the name Losing My Religion is because it's simply alluding to the idea that faith is more important because like that lasts.
Yes.
It was also for dramatic effect. I remember I did a post on my Instagram and I got the people, especially people who I was with in church back then, they flocked. As you can see, this particular episode had 140 views. Oh my God, I've already started sidetracking. It's still the episode with the most views, I believe, of all that we did. So of course there was a bit of drama on it. Yeah, I think is this it? Yeah, I was born in a Christian home. I grew up in church in more ways than one. Then, most unexpectedly, followed fear, guilt, doubt, and questions. This is not about answers that I have found. This is an invite into our continuing journey of wonder and discovery. Link in bio. Ooh, interesting. Discovery lazima. Anindolea Munaian said, I haven't listened, but I can relate with the title. Big up. Stephanie, Stephanie's been a fan since way back when. I've seen her comment over here. Such a hearty intro. I wouldn't have thought that. Interesting. Wow, okay, this is nice. Let me get to it. And Deuri wanted the link. Well, Deuri, here's your link. Gary. Yeah, let's get on with it.
You know, for anybody who believes, for anybody who has the perspective of there is more beyond the here and the now, then faith is going to is an eternal thing, like it lasts beyond time. But religion is the things that we do, and then when we die.
I really find that interesting that I am talking that way, because if you ask me now, I'd have told you that version of me was very skeptical about anything beyond what I see and touch with my physical self. But I still sound like somebody who still has a lot of faith, because I'm talking about faith lasting beyond time. And if you're talking about a time beyond time, you get what I mean, then you would categorize that, in my opinion, as still a man of faith, because what is there beyond time, right? And that's what faith is. It's the substance of things not seen, or things hoped for, evidence of things not seen. So
it's over.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was just thinking about
what has been your journey.
Yeah, just to remain.
At least on that, I'm still the same.
My journey, when I think about my own personal experience, I think about being born into a Christian home, as many people were. Then growing up, very diligent in terms of going to church, waking up, having morning devotions, being woken up very early. Man, those things. At 5 a.m. you're being woken up. So all those rituals at home.
Forget
Then at the age of I think 8, I had what in Christianity we say a salvation experience. My dad prayed for me, so basically,
did you understand what was happening?
Yeah, actually, what I was at the time, I didn't necessarily understand, but I always remember the feeling, and I think I always talk.
I'm sorry, chat. I think I have just realized that I could do the demonstration as this goes on, just so I can try and hit the 1 hour mark. I have some props over here. These are tea leaves in a zester. Call me for sponsorship. You make really good containers. I have some props here. I don't know if anybody understands what I'm trying to do, but then I'm just gonna play this, then it's gonna continue, and then I'm gonna talk about the demonstration when I'm done.
Talk about that feeling that day, and in the period that ensued after that, the feeling I got was a feeling of overwhelming peace and joy. And I usually say to this day, I have never experienced something similar.
That's true. 5 years later, still holds true. Whatever you think about when someone talks about salvation experience, whether you're a Christian or you're not, when someone says, I am a Christian, I am born again, whatever that thing means to you. For me, what that experience was, I always say I have what I call landmarks of faith. Is moments that I look back to when my faith is low and my doubts are starting to build up. And I remember certain experiences, and they fortify me. They give me strength in those moments to keep going, to keep moving forward. That is one of the experiences, because I don't know, I'm probably going to say it in the podcast, but it was just an overwhelming sense of joy. I have never felt that before. So I don't know how to explain it. There is joy as in excitement. It's not quite the same thing, because I remember, or rather I should say, I can contrast it with, for instance, I'm a massive football fan. When my team scores a goal, I know what that feeling of intense excitement, it's not quite that. It's like a long extended hug that you feel like everything finally makes sense, not up here, but in here. And I remember that it stayed with me for a period of time. And for me, being a young kid, just 8 years old, not understanding what I was saying, the words I was saying, the significance of that moment, always going back to that experience when I have had doubts, tells me that it wasn't just something that happened. Does that make sense? Get it?
And I think that is one of the things that really gives me a lot of confidence in the things that I believe in. But, just to speak about, because, there's probably someone who's listening and if someone is not a Christian, they're like, what's salvation? What is a salvation experience? So
what is it?
It's essentially now, with time, growing up and learning more about it, it's when we look at it now from the definition that we Christians get from the Bible is when you believe in your heart and you confess with your mouth that
I said we Christians. Anyway,
Christ is Lord. So I think that's the experience of.
Jackie was waiting for that line. Christ is Lord.
It's like coming from a place of maybe not believing to believing. Not confessing in terms of pronouncing it and saying it, because that's a thing you find with people who are saved. They are often saying, "Hi, I'm so and so, I am born again." So it becomes like a label that you put on yourself, both outside and inside. So that's like the experience.
Yes.
So I've been in church since I was small. I was in PCA.
That was since you were 6 years old.
What's that?
Since you're 6 years old.
Well, I was in church before because I was baptized. I was about to say I remember being baptized when I was 2 months old, but I can't remember. My mom tells me they took me to church and I was baptized when I was 2.
I was the owner of the podcast. They had to laugh at my bad jokes.
Years old, but then I moved from the church where I was. I moved to another church and I was baptized as a grown up. Now, like the baptism where you go to the river. Okay, it wasn't a
immersion.
Yeah, the immersion. Full body immersion.
Yeah.
You were taken to the river.
It wasn't a river. It was a swimming pool. I was baptized in a swimming pool. But essentially, I had been in church since I was small. I moved to another church when I grew up, and I stayed there for like 10 years until about 1 year ago. So for the last 1 year or so, I stopped going to that church about one and a half years ago, and I haven't been to church very many.
So I'm gonna pause there. I'm gonna show you some photos of me in church back in the day. That is so bad. Ta-da-da-dan. Ta-da-da-dan. Ask me. I'm not. I mean. Yeah, I'm not much bigger, but I have been bigger. I mean, Christ. I could show you some other photo. Also this chair. Yeah, but that's right, me there leading worship, or part of the team leading worship. Let's see if there are any other interests. Okay, let me do it differently. Let me do it this way so I don't offend people. Although I'm going to a photo. Daniel. Oh my God. I'm laughing for many reasons. We wacha haujakimbia 100 meters. Shinda kwanza. In the spirit of aspiration. Yeah. This was when I was joining church, and then we had gone for a worship team retreat somewhere in Karen. And I decided to do that. Thousand apologies, Mr. Bravo, my good friend, who went on to host me in his house for many years after this, and here I am insulting his religion. Oh my God. Take that photo off. Let's go back to this. So I tried to look for more photos of me while I was in church, and I realized I don't have a very good recollection of where they are. Let's just finish this section.
Times since that time.
Then I can talk about my demonstration because it's almost done anyway. I hope it's gonna work.
Yeah, so I think long and short, that would probably be my journey.
Amazing. So what about you, Jackie? Could you share your story of...
Okay, I'm sorry. I invited Jackie to come and sit over here and react to this podcast with me. and Scott as well. I'm still hoping they'll come for future reactions, because we did quite a few episodes and these were interesting. And listen, chat, I want to do this stuff again, because I'm gonna tell you one thing. So I'm doing this. The reason I'm doing this particular stream today is because I believe that I have been called to do it. I believe that God has called me to do this work. When I started, I didn't think I was going to come here and talk so overtly about God. I didn't think I was going to do that. I thought, what did I think? I thought I'm going to espouse the values and then you will see them through my actions. But thanks to a series of, I'm not going to say unfortunate events, but thanks to a series of events, here I am speaking very overtly about God because I am convinced that it is what I have to do. And now I forget why the reason I was saying that whole, but here we are. Let me see if I can.
Your journey is with faith, with religion, with...
Yeah, I've completely lost it. My bad. I'm so sorry. That's gonna happen many times. Yeah, but now I will be doing this. I will be doing this a lot. Oh yes, the point has come back to me. I will be here. I'll be talking about God. The only thing I want to warn you about, if you see me agreeing with you on one thing, please do not put me in your group. In your group of people who agree with you and assume that I agree with you on everything, because there is a high chance I will offend you the next one. So if you're going to stay for the number of times you will stay, always be open-minded that I might say or do some things that might not always agree with you, whichever side you are wrong. But now here I am, almost done with my demonstration. Now you're gonna allow me to change settings for a bit. Yeah. I don't know if this is gonna work. These are glasses I bought at okay, let me put that aside for now. These are glasses I bought at Optica and I lost them after 1 week. And now I haven't been able to afford new glasses. Optica, do you want to do the thing? Because you know, I mean, this stream is going to grow. I want to do a demonstration here. Chat, should have probably come with a better. Okay, hold up, chat. Not gonna be 30 seconds. Okay, not gonna be a minute. I'll be back pretty quick. And I'm back. Here I am, here I am, here I am. I know you know what the idea of this is. It really is not what you saw. These were tea leaves. This is not Trizla. This is just the brown paper where they put drugs inside. This is a matchbox for sure. I no longer have a lighter in the house, but you kind of already get an idea of what I'm trying to do. I hope it's gonna work because I'm not trying to smoke it. I just wanna burn it. Start battery. I hope it catch on fire. By the way, chat, my hands shake like naturally since I was a kid. It's not, I don't take alcohol. I never have taken alcohol. As you can see, I'm quite an expert on other things. For my demonstration to work, Jesus, it smells eerily. For my demonstration to work, this thing needs to burn all the way. So I might have to use a lot of what, matchsticks. We will see. We'll see. So I think as I try to do this demonstration, I can talk about it. The rest of my journey. So while I was here, I had just left church. And here's what happened. I was very active in church. I was in the worship team. I led the drama team for quite a good period of time. In fact, my very final main thing that I did in church, in ministry, was a play. It was a musical. It was the best bit of service that I did in church. I do the speech marks because I feel even back then there would always be two levels whenever I would be doing ministry. That particular part, I don't know why I did the air quotes, but whenever, it's burning quite well. So when I was doing the ministry, I would feel that there were two levels. There are two levels to it. One is the actual physical stuff that you're doing, right? There's the actual physical stuff that you're doing. So if it's worship, there's the singing, there's the praying, verbally. And then there would be the spiritual aspect of it. Those who have been ministers in one way or another and being genuine with it will understand what I'm saying. There's the spiritual aspect of it. So for instance, in my previous church, I'd have the leader of the overall team let me know, you're gonna be leading worship next Sunday. And so what that would do, it would give me a whole week to prepare for it. What that means is I would literally pray. I would literally pray for the people that I would be leading on Sunday, and I would carry them in my heart. So when I would stand on the pulpit, I don't know whether that's what it's still called, when I would stand on stage on Sunday and sing songs and pray and lead people in expressive worship, for me, it wouldn't be just that. It would also be a culmination of this thing that I have been doing in the course of the week. Even the songs, because mostly our practice sessions never used to be about doing. So we would meet on Tuesday for practice. It would never be about practicing the songs for Sunday. It would always be about development, personal development. So we would spend a lot of time in reading the word, in worship. That was what our practice sessions used to look like. So even in terms of the songs that I would lead on the Sunday, I would have to pray and try and figure out, okay, what are the emphases that I feel in my heart, and so what songs would really fit that narrative. So the whole reason I'm giving that whole background, number one, is to buy time for this thing to to burn off. Number two, I also need to confirm whether my mom is watching, because I think she was she was number one on the wait list. And now I don't know what I'm doing. Just give me a minute, chat. One watching, I think that's me. I don't think she's in there. Anyway, oh my god, this is gonna be such an interesting episode. So, the whole reason I've given that whole background is to say those two levels. When I did the play at the end, I remember being very invested in the production side. I was so excited about the music. I was so excited about the play, the script. It was so much fun, but I remember being completely disconnected to the spiritual side. I couldn't carry that thing in my heart. In fact, I would have left church months earlier were it not for the fact that that play was taking place. I remember being really confused because I woke up and it just became difficult for me to go to church. It was very difficult. I look back now, I feel like I was burnt out. That is what I believe, that I was burnt out. I had gotten to a place where we wouldn't take breaks. We wouldn't take breaks. And I think that's a problem. Like I said, I'm not saying this to discredit where I came from. All that I am, hate it or love it, anybody who comes across me in the course of my life, every single thing that I am, okay, not every single thing, a lot of who I am today, even these skills that I am using here for the streaming, the actual streaming, the broadcast side, so the thumbnail design and editing, it may not be the best, but those are skills that I picked up while I was in church. So I don't look back at that time and say, oh, what a bad time in my life, I wish I would take it back. No, I became a man, I grew up in church, and that for me is valuable in that particular church. I say that because I am now part of the church again. So, okay, we're getting there. So I remember being very disconnected. I would have left months earlier had it not been for that play. But we were doing a musical, it was so much fun. And I did it. And the moment I was done, I remember we played in December. So we staged it in December. And I remember being so happy because I remember thinking, okay, in December people would go away. Okay, I'm going to come back to the point I was making earlier. I've remembered it. People would go away and go home. And so this was like the one period in the year where no one would be asking you about, oh, why didn't you come to church? Because it's Christmas time. There is a high chance you're not in Nairobi anymore. You've gone up country. So I remember deliberately thinking at the time, okay, now that the play is done, might as well just disappear for a few weeks. So I thought I was going to disappear and then maybe I was going to find my way back. But December came and went, January came and went, February, by March, I knew I had to do something. I couldn't just sit there and continue being stuck between a rock and a hard place. So what did I do? I went and did the thing that we believed we were supposed to do, and spoke to my pastor at the time, let him know what my experiences were. It wasn't a good meeting, that one. We disagreed. It was the first time I had ever disagreed with him, because my MO up until that point, as was just about everybody else in church, was whatever pastor says we follow, it doesn't matter. That is another problem. Let me go back to the other problem. The first problem I was mentioning is we wouldn't take breaks. I look back on it now and that's a bit crazy, man. Like, it's work. It's like we would work. It's a lot of work. And it would, okay, you say it may, you're taking breaks in the course of the week, you're doing other things in the course of the week. We wouldn't take breaks because it was like a crime to miss church. And that is something that for me we have to address when we are talking about church. That's something that we have to address. You cannot overwork people, not pay them, deny them breaks, right? And then when they break, you castigate them and cast them aside, which is exactly what happened. Because now, in my experience, at that time I was just lost. I didn't understand what was going on. But we had always said, we are brothers, we are together forever. And we would even say, even if you leave this church and go to another church, we are still together. And I genuinely believed that. But on my way out, so I always say, when people ask me, why did you leave church? I for a long time I would say, I actually don't know why I left church. Or that church, I wouldn't say why I left that church. But on my way out, I found enough reasons for me to leave church. And now beyond that, my faith took a massive beating, a massive hit, because I had built everything around this church community. The career path that I chose was inspired by conversations with one of the pastors. I don't think it was a mistake. I think he was led by God. But I'm showing you, I stayed in a house, a bachelor pad, for 10 years. Oh my God, I'm going to do a whole episode about that. I'm going to call those guys. Those who will come, they'll come here. They're going to tell you. So I lived in a proper bachelor pad for, it's more like a frat house, where we are like 5 dudes at a time. It's a 3-bedroomed house and an SQ. And you have guys coming in, so you have like maybe younger guys who are going into college coming into the house, others are getting married, and it was like a whole system, and it's really good. I would advise young men. I'm not quite sure about young women because I'm not a young woman. I am not a woman. I am still young, but I really don't know about women. But young men, I would say if you're in your 20s, in your early 20s, you don't need to struggle alone. Just gang up a good batch of you, find a good house, pay utilities, do shopping. It's really good. Anyway, I lived in that house because I met a member of that house in church. And that house came to define a lot of, including this house that I live in today, is a direct consequence of me having been in that house. In this neighborhood, I have a lot of that house in this neighborhood. So everything in my life had revolved around that church. So when I left, and everything happened in the aftermath, and what I mean is just people castigating you because you left, it made me question not just my time in that church, but it also made me question my entire faith. It made me question God and the existence of God, hence things like the podcast. But then what happened is that let me put it this way. Okay, the demonstration still carries on. Don't worry about it. I am going to explain what I am doing. So it got up to that point, and my life changed completely. I am a person who believes in the speaking of God. I am a person who believes that God speaks to me. But for a long period of time, as the Bible says in the book of Malachi, the voice of God was rare. In my life, nothing. I didn't hear anything for a long period of time. Until about 2 years ago, when my daughter was conceived. And that whole process my daughter is the best thing that has ever happened to me, and I love her so much. She will always know that her arrival was the hardest process that I have ever gone through. Not even close. There isn't a close second. I believe that is not unique to me. Even parents in like stable marriages, getting kids, able to afford everything, you're fine with everything. I feel like getting a child scars you one way or another, based on stories that I have heard from other parents. And I believe that is a way that God leaves a mark on your life, to let you know that you don't get a child for free. There is a price you pay. And that price adds on the value that you put on the life of this individual. At least that is the case for me. The price that I believe I paid, it adds so much weight to how I perceive her and how I relate to her. But it was difficult. It was really difficult. It still is. The process of being a father is not easy. But it is also the process that finally brought me back to the faith, because I started to remember that my life was very easy and very straightforward when I was in Christ. And I remember I feel like I'm going into too much detail, and I don't have much time to do that. There's gonna be enough time after this, I believe, I hope, where I can actually talk about all those things, those in finer detail. But this is the thing: when I was at my worst corner, when I felt completely and utterly hopeless, and I thought I was going to die. I genuinely thought I was going to die. I cried out to God, and things changed. Things changed tangibly. Things changed, and that became the beginning of my path back. Unfortunately, I had already caught many things, including an addiction. And I want to talk about this addiction because I feel it's not spoken about enough. I feel there is a way this thing is painted in a light that it really is not.